What's up, everyone? This is Adam from Slurv, Ship My Money on DraftKings, and I'll be breaking down today's pitching slate for you for Friday, May 20th. It's a nice 15-game slate with some interesting pitching options going. As usual, I'll start off with the cash options that I like for DraftKings and FanDuel, and then move into the pitchers I want to target in GPPs, and finish up with the pitchers that I want to, stack hitters against. So starting with cash games, I think they're pretty easy tonight. On DraftKings, I really like Aaron Nola at 11,000 and Aaron Sanchez at 8,000. Nola's got to match up with the Braves. They strike out about 19% of the time, so they're middle of the league there, but they just hit righties really bad. 285 WOBA, 74 WRC plus. Nola's been really good this year. He strikes out 28.6% of batters he faces and only walks 4.4%. So, like on DraftKings where you get docked points for base runners, it really helps his whip that he doesn't walk anyone on top of, striking guys out. He's got a 2.4 xFIP so far this season. He's just been pitching really, really well, and I like him a lot in this matchup with the Braves. Since you need a second starting pitcher, obviously you need to use someone other than Nola as well, and I feel the most comfortable with Aaron Sanchez today going against the Twins. The Twins, most of their good hitters are right-handed, and Sanchez, going back to last year, has been really good against right-handed bats. The issue with Sanchez is that he, at times, can struggle with his control, but the Twins don't walk a lot. They walk 7.7% of the time against right-handed pitching this season, and Sanchez, for the most part this year, has been better than he was last year as far as, commanding the ball. Against righties, though, he's just a really good pitcher. He gives up the least amount of hard contact to right-handed batters out of anyone on the slate today. He's got a 3.27 xFIP and 21.4% hard contact going back to the last season against righties. Sorry, not hard contact, 21.4% strikeout rate against righties. He's just been really, really good against righties. And on top of that, his ground ball to fly ball ratio against right-handed batters is 3, which is just, ridiculous. So I think he's pretty safe as your second starting pitcher today. For cash games on FanDuel, I want to just go with Aaron Nola. He's priced at 9,000, which, is just a really, really fair price. And he's just, I think, far and away the safest option and has the most upside on the board today. So I'm just going to stick with him in my cash games on FanDuel. Moving into GPPs, I do have interest in Nola still on both sites. I think he will be popular, but I just think it's a really good matchup for him. I don't think he's a must-play just due to how popular I think he's going to be. If you can find options around him that have, the similar upside, then I don't mind that. But I think he's, just a really good play today, and I don't mind the ownership percentage even in GPPs. But moving down off of him, I'm interested in Corey Kluber today for GPPs. It does depend on how highly owned I think he's going to be. Like if throughout the day it looks like people are going to notice, his cheap price and that they really like it, then I'm probably not going to play him because he does have a really bad matchup today with the Red Sox. But if people are going to ignore him since he's been inconsistent this season and he's got a bad matchup with the Red Sox, then I'm definitely interested in him at 9,000 on DraftKings, and 9,600 on FanDuel because, it's not a good matchup. The Red Sox don't strike out a lot, but Kluber is one of the more talented pitchers in baseball and definitely one of the more talented pitchers on the slate today. Even this season where he's been inconsistent, he's got a 24% strikeout rate and a 12% swinging strike percentage. So, the stuff's still been there for him this year. And in GPPs where, you're weighing upside a lot more than safety, at those prices, like, he's priced low enough that it accounts for his bad matchup. And when you're just, focusing in on his upside, he's priced too low, because he can give you, a really, really big game at, mid-tier pricing. So he's someone I'm really interested in GPPs today, especially if people aren't going to, risk it against the Red Sox. Garrett Cole, I think, is a really good GPP play on DraftKings. He may be popular. I'm not sure. That's another one I'm going to watch throughout the day. But he's priced down to 8,700. He's at home in a good pitcher's park going against the Rockies, who struggle a lot on the road. The Rockies haven't struck out a lot against right-handed pitching this season, and they've hit, they've been decent. 18% strikeout rate, 331 WOBA, and an 87 WRC plus, which is obviously bad. But they're always worse on the road than they are at Coors Field. And Cole's price is just too low on DraftKings. I don't think I'm particularly interested in him on FanDuel at 10,200, just because I don't know I don't think the strikeout upside is, super high for him that I want to pay over 10K on FanDuel. But at 8,700 on DraftKings, he's definitely in play for me, especially because I think people are going to be. I think Carlos Martinez may be really popular today at home, but he's been struggling this year, and at 400 more, Cole could be a nice pivot if Martinez is going to be chalky. Moving on to Martinez, he's one who, if he's going to be chalky, I have no interest in. If people are going to, not play him, then he becomes more interesting. The pros for him are that the Diamondbacks do have a really right-handed heavy lineup, and he's always been much better against righties. The downside is that so far this season, he's got a 4.19 xFIP, and he only has an 18% strikeout rate. The strikeout rate is down for him, and I just don't. It's not something that I'm going to risk if he's going to be popular. If everyone, looks at the red flags, then, I'll have some exposure to him just because if he's not hurt, then I don't know why he wouldn't be dominant against righties like he has been in the past, at some point. So he's very ownership dependent to me. So like I said, if he's going to be really popular, then I'd prefer Cole on DraftKings. If he's going to not be popular, then I'm fine having exposure to Carlos Martinez. I think that Anibal Sanchez is an interesting GPP play today. He's my favorite punt play on FanDuel. Priced down at 6,800, I believe it is. Sorry. 6,800. He hasn't been good this year. He's got a 505 xFIP, but the Rays have been really bad against righties when it comes to striking out. They still hit fairly well, but they have the second highest strikeout percentage in the league against right-handed pitching. And Sanchez he hasn't been getting hit hard as much as he just walks a lot of people. He's got a walk percentage over 12 so far this season, which obviously isn't good, but his hard contact percentage is only about 29%, which isn't, too bad. So I think if his command is on, then he could have a really good game against the right-handed heavy Rays lineup. And the Rays have the 8th highest swing percentage and 9th highest chase percentage on top of the highest strikeout rate against right-handed pitching this season. So I think that could help, him keep the walks down. The Rays are middle of the pack in walks. So I think as long as Sanchez can keep the ball somewhere near the strike zone, he should have a pretty good game. He's definitely a risky play, but I don't mind him. I think he's got upside, especially his 6,800 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's still interesting. Like, he's 7,800, so I don't like the price as much, but he'll literally just not be owned and could be a nice pivot also off of, like Carlos Martinez if he's going to be popular. The last guy I wanted to talk about for tournaments that I have a little bit of interest in if I punt my second starting pitcher on DraftKings, which right now I'm not planning on, but I haven't really checked out hitter pricing too much yet. But Mike Wright at 5,500, I think it is, on DraftKings, he's not a guy that I'm sold on as a pitcher, but the Angels are in the middle of a hot streak, but I don't think they're actually a good hitting team. And Wright is a fly ball pitcher who throws a lot of fastballs. In LA, those fly balls could definitely just turn into a lot of outs. Like, I don't think he has a ton of strikeout upside in this matchup. But at 5,500, if you're punting pitcher, you don't really need that much strikeout upside if you have a guy who can go, 6 innings, get you a handful of strikeouts. And I think Wright could definitely do that. He has a couple of starts this year where his numbers ended up being worse than they should have. Kansas City being one of those games. He was good, for 6 innings, and then the Orioles ran him out for one more inning, and he gave up like 2 home runs. And he's just had a couple of those starts where he goes, to where if you're watching the game, you figure he's done, and then the Orioles bring him out for another inning, and he sucks in that inning. But on the flip side, the Orioles do have confidence in him, running him out there, trying to get him deep in the games. They did it again last start. I was watching the game, and I think he was at like 100 pitches after 6, and he came back out for the 7th, and I was really mad, and he actually had a good inning. So, they do at least have confidence in him and bring him back out there, so you don't have to worry about him getting pulled early. So at 5,500, I do think he's, got a little bit of upside there if you are going to punt your second pitcher. So moving into hitters that I like, I really like the Houston Bats against Colby Lewis. They're a right-handed heavy lineup. He gives up 34.8% hard contact against righties dating back to last season. He's a fly ball pitcher in Houston. That just doesn't really work. And he's got a 4.36 xFIP against righties. So I really like the Houston bats there. I like the Detroit bats against Matt Andriese, or however that's pronounced. It's a pretty small sample size, but so far against right-handed pitching, he's got the highest hard contact percentage on the slate at 37%. The Tigers have a lot of right-handed power bats, so I'm definitely interested in them. Oakland righties against Sabathia coming off the DL. He's got a 4.9 xFIP against righties going back to last season, and Oakland's got some good, lefty mashers, with Chris Davis and Danny Valencia in particular. So, there's a few righties in that lineup that I think I will use to fill out other stacks. Baltimore against Hector Santiago. I at first wasn't really sold on Baltimore today because they usually struggle with guys who throw, pretty good off-speed stuff. But Santiago's like a fastball changeup guy, and he's been really bad against righties. Going back to last year, he's got an xFIP over 5. He's a fly ball pitcher, and he gives up a ton of hard contact also. So you have these Orioles righties that do hit the ball hard, and they hit fastballs really well. And then looking at the individual hitters going back to 2014 against changeups, Jones hits pretty well. Or Jones crushes changeups. Trumbo has good numbers. Reimold has good numbers. Machado's decent. And then, Chris Davis just against lefties is good. So I think that I will end up being on the Orioles today. And then the Mets against Johnny Peralta. I like all the Mets, righty or lefty. Peralta's been horrific against lefties, but he's not much better against righties. So I just think that whole Mets lineup's in play. So those are the 5 lineups that really stand out to me so far today. Definitely stop into the Slurve chat throughout the day. I'll be in there once more lineups come out and I have more information to go on. And then we also have the Slurve experts chat today with Steve, Max, and myself going on at 5 Eastern. So definitely stop in and check that out. Good luck today, guys.